The year 1914 marked the beginning of a conflict so devastating it became known as the Great War. This war, later called World War I, engulfed Europe and spread to other parts of the world. It was a war unlike any other, marked by new technologies and unprecedented casualties. But how did this global conflict begin? What were the underlying causes that led to such widespread devastation? The Great War was not a sudden eruption of violence. Instead, it was the culmination of several long-term factors brewing beneath the surface of European politics and society. These factors, often interconnected and mutually reinforcing, created a volatile atmosphere ripe for conflict. To truly understand the outbreak of World War I, we must delve into these underlying causes. This essay will explore the complex origins of World War I, examining the key factors that contributed to its outbreak. From the tangled web of alliances to the race for empires and the rising tide of nationalism, we will analyze how these forces interacted to push Europe towards the brink of war. Finally, we will examine the immediate trigger, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and how this event set in motion the chain reaction that plunged the world into chaos. One of the most significant factors leading to World War I was the complex system of alliances that had developed among European nations. In the decades leading up to the war, European powers had formed a network of treaties, agreements, and pacts. These alliances were intended to maintain a balance of power and prevent war. However, they ultimately had the opposite effect. The two main alliance blocs were the Triple Alliance, consisting of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, and the Triple Entente, comprising France, Russia, and Great Britain. These alliances created a system where an attack on one country was considered an attack on all its allies. This meant that a seemingly isolated conflict could quickly escalate into a wider war. The alliance system created a climate of fear and suspicion among the European powers. Each nation felt obligated to support its allies, even if it meant going to war for a cause it did not fully support. This system of interlocking alliances, intended to prevent war, became a trap, ensnaring the continent in a conflict that few desired but none could prevent. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed an intense rivalry among European powers for colonies and global influence. This competition for empires, known as imperialism, fueled tensions and mistrust among the European nations. The scramble for colonies created friction points around the world, as nations clashed over resources, territories, and spheres of influence. Along with imperialism, militarism played a crucial role in setting the stage for World War I. Militarism refers to the glorification of military strength and the belief that a strong military is essential for national greatness. In the years leading up to the war, European nations engaged in a dangerous arms race, rapidly expanding their armies and navies. This arms race created a climate of fear and suspicion, as each nation viewed its neighbors' growing military might as a threat. The combination of imperialism and militarism created a volatile mix, increasing tensions and making war more likely. The pursuit of empires and the belief in military strength poisoned the relations between the European powers, pushing them closer to the brink. Nationalism, a potent force in the 19th and 20th centuries, also played a significant role in the outbreak of World War I. Nationalism is the belief that one's own nation is superior to others and should be independent and self-governing. While nationalism can be a positive force, uniting people and fostering a sense of shared identity, it can also lead to extreme forms of patriotism and hostility towards other nations. In Europe, nationalism was particularly strong in the Balkans, a region often called the powder keg of Europe. The Ottoman Empire, once a major power, was in decline, and various ethnic groups within its territories were vying for independence. This created a volatile situation, with competing national aspirations and a history of ethnic and religious conflicts. Nationalist sentiments intensified rivalries between existing European powers, particularly between Austria-Hungary, a sprawling empire with a diverse population, and Serbia, a smaller nation with ambitions of uniting the South Slavs. These nationalist tensions, intertwined with the interests of the great powers, created a dangerous dynamic in the Balkans, making the region a potential flashpoint for a wider European conflict.